Hi, my name's Karen. There's two things I'd really like to talk to you about, and it's my experience with dieting and weight loss. And I'd also like to share some tips with you on what's helped me with permanent weight loss. My story started off, I was about 19, and now when I look back, I wasn't really that overweight, but I was about a stone overweight. I don't know what that is in kilos. So I was feeling really bad about myself. I was binge eating, I was out of control. Anyway, I decided to go on the path of trying different things. Weight Watchers was one of them, Overeaters Anonymous, acupuncture, I even did hypnosis, and I also got onto prescriptive diet pills, which I thought were fantastic at the time. The weight just went off like that. But then, of course, as soon as I stopped them, the weight went straight back on again. And I think that was worse, just losing all that weight and then putting it straight back on again, not to mention the health aspects and the side effects of taking drugs. So at the age of 26, I was reading through a magazine article, and it was to do with a psychologist that talked about eating whatever you liked and that you could actually lose weight. And I thought, look, I've tried everything else. I can't even understand how this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a go. So I ended up going to him for just on a year. And if there was any downside to things, it probably took a long while to get to the ideas, because I've been thinking a certain way. My brain was programmed to think that way, and to change that thinking, it was a long process, but it was permanent. So I'd like to share about 5 tips that really made a big difference for me. I did lose the weight around the age of 26, and I've kept the weight off. I won't tell you how old I am, but I've kept the weight off for a good 20 years or so. It's been a permanent weight loss, and I don't worry, I've got absolute freedom of eating whatever I like. And that's my first point. The big thing was, you got permission to eat whatever you liked. And I couldn't understand how that could work. But I started thinking, well, what do I really want? I was so into the diet thing of what am I allowed to have and what I'm not allowed to have, that I didn't really think about what would I really like to have. To have that just meant so much freedom. So I started to become a lot more choosy with the food I was having. And that really come down to my second point, quality versus quantity. Before, I'd just go off the diet and think, stuff it, I've mucked it up, I'll start tomorrow, and I'd go and binge eat. But then I started looking at quality, what I really want, and it really had to be the best. And if I couldn't get that, I'd rather not have it at all. I remember where I worked, we used to have morning teas, and some people might have thought I was dieting. But if they had a banana cake or a carrot cake, I'd really take a slice of that, because I loved it. But if it was anything else, if it's not what I wanted, why have it? So I found that really helped, and I become more fussy with food. And the third point is, the biggest thing for me, it was the self-talk. And I can guarantee the guilt will put more weight on than anything else. And my negative self-talk was, I'm hopeless, how many times have I tried this, I'm never going to lose weight, and I just felt so bad within myself, and I was beating myself up terribly. And that would lead to guilt, depression, feeling deprived because I wasn't eating what I really wanted, and I'd just go on this cycle around and around and around. So I learnt how to replace that by, what would I really feel like? How is that going to feel in my stomach? When I walk away from this table, how do I want to feel? It was a totally different set of questions, and it was positive, and it was actually sitting down and enjoying a meal, taking in your 5 senses, smelling the food, actually tasting it for once, instead of standing in front of a refrigerator just stuffing in whatever you could. So I started to really enjoy food. And it was probably the first time I ever really thought about being hungry or being full. When you go on a diet, they've got this thing about, oh, geez, you can't get hungry. What's wrong with being hungry? That's the way our bodies were designed. So now I'm a lot more aware of my hunger signals, And now it took a while to get the hang of, but now I can start feeling a little bit full, and I will push food aside. Not because I feel I have to, it's because I listen to my body now and it tells me I'm full. Another tip, and I'll end with this one, was I stopped weighing myself. Because in the end, that machine determines whether you're going to have a good day or not. But what happened was, if you did have a bad result, you'd think, oh, stuff it, I'm going to stuff myself silly, which I did. But even if you had a good result, you think, oh well, I can get away with it, I'm still going to go out and eat. So the whole idea was to stop dieting, stop weighing yourself, but to start focusing on behaviour. And really the weight just followed. So my whole focus was off losing weight altogether, which was a big thing for me. I've also learnt too that counting fat grams, kilojoules, that's totally irrelevant to anything, because it really comes back to your body. Instead of looking for things outside you, you really need to go back to inside. So overall, as I said, I've kept the weight off for many years now, and although it did take a year to reprogram my brain, it was the best thing I ever did. And all I can say is you need to trust the process. I felt so strong about this whole process that I did find an organisation, Nectar, and I rang up and asked whether I could be involved in the teaching process, because I just believe so much in what they were presenting, and they actually were saying everything that I've just talked to you about now. So it was just wonderful, and I just got so much of that out of that experience and actually helping people. So that's just my experience, and I hope that you can get a lot out of that as well.